Russia's order to pull its troops out of Kherson, the only Ukrainian region capital it has captured in more than 8 months of war, has prompted a warning from President Zelensky in his nightly address for emotions to be restrained.
The enemy does not give us gifts, does not make gestures of goodwill. We fight for it all. And when you fight, the enemy resists, and always we lose the lives of our heroes. Therefore, we move very carefully, without emotion, without unnecessary risk.
Earlier, his advisor, Pullout, said in a tweet, actions speak louder than words, and that so far there was no sign that Russia was leaving without a fight. It had been left to Moscow's top military to tell the Russian public via state-run television of the decision. If it is confirmed, it will undoubtedly be viewed by many as a setback. President Putin was nowhere to be seen. The retreat back across the Dnipro River was said to be down to logistical reasons. Supplying Russian troops was becoming impossible with continuous Ukrainian attacks. Abroad, US President Joe Biden expressed a wait-and-see approach.
It's evidence of the fact that they have some real problems, the Russian military, number one. Number two, whether or not that leads to, at a minimum, it will lead to time for everyone to recalibrate their positions over the winter period.
Ukraine's military remains wary, believing any retreating Russian forces will most likely have left behind mines and booby traps.
Well, today's announcement of Russia's withdrawal from the Kherson region, the right bank of the Kherson region, to the left bank of the Dnipro River is a major development in the war. It will liberate or free up approximately 4,000 square kilometers of territory, but perhaps most significantly, it will also mean that Russia will be withdrawing or retreating from the right bank, the western half of Ukraine. They will have no presence there, and they will also be leaving the only regional capital that Russia has been able to occupy since the invasion began almost 9 months ago. So it's a major breakthrough for Ukraine and a very significant setback for Russia. Well, there's been speculation of a Russian retreat for some time now. Ukraine's tactics in this area is essentially a pocket or a bridgehead. Ukraine's tactics for some months now have been essentially to blockade the Russian forces there, to cut them off from resupply by bombing and destroying the bridges over the Dnipro River upon which they depended for their resupply. So this Russian force, has been gradually finding itself more and more isolated. So speculation has been mounting for some time that at some point they would have to withdraw. Now, exactly when that would be was open to question. Some felt it would come later in November or even December, maybe even in the new year. So it's probably very early, but not totally unexpected. From a strategic point of view, it means an end to Russia's ambitions to move further along the coast towards Odessa, which is Ukraine's perhaps second most important city after Kiev and the country's main port. That was one of the main targets of Russia's invasion since the beginning. So that now is on the shelf, as it were, is essentially ruled out for the foreseeable future. But I think it's far more important in terms of a symbolic or morale sense. This will have a huge impact on Russia, a very negative impact, a demoralizing effect. So the challenge for the Russians now will be to somehow regroup and solidify their lines of retreat and their defences, because Ukraine will now be looking to move on across the river and from the north to come down and push further against Russian forces. Obviously, they're going to be in a certain degree of disarray after what is a major retreat. So it's a morale issue, and that will also be felt very much in Moscow. I think there'll be a lot of questions asked now about the conduct of the war and the way it's been handled. This is the latest in a series of defeats and perhaps the most humiliating of all.